Hi, Lisa K. Donner here with Liberty Nation, and with me today is Legal Affairs Editor Scott Cosenza. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Lisa.
Well, you've been doing a lot of digging in the Ahmaud Arbery case, and so what we have here is the murder of a man that has shocked and disgusted most of America. He's a jogger that was gunned down in the Deep South, allegedly or presumably because of the color of his skin. And the kicker, as you write, is that police and prosecutors just basically sat on it. But it appears that people with a political agenda are using this sad affair to their own ends. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, yes, and I think it's important to add that prosecutors now say that it is a murder, but we won't know unless a jury says it was murder, whether it was. And we may have that to deal with in the future with a criminal trial. That is all being pushed in the public eye, Lisa, by two men, Shaun King, the activist, and Lee Merritt, the attorney, working in tandem and as a team to kind of whip up the frenzy surrounding the killing.
Okay, now these two gentlemen have a long association, but there's also some political action committees involved in this. Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, I listened to Mr. Merritt on the Breakfast Club radio show, and he talked about basically how people should go to Run with Maud. That is the vehicle where they want people to sort of get involved, to push for, this was prior to the arrests. And also Mr. King has been pushing traffic to Run with Maud.
Let me just interrupt with you. So that's runwithmaud.com, a website.
That's right, Lisa. They were driving all interested parties to Run with Maud. That website seemed a bit too slick to be just put together for this purpose. And at the bottom, I saw that it was produced by a political action committee, the Action PAC. It seemed odd that, a political action committee is designed to, run candidates and give money for office. What does that have to do with, getting justice for a person that may have been murdered? So I followed the trail down there, and that leads to a kind of convoluted web of basically progressive lefty PACs and other organizations, LLCs, and they're all kind of concerned in this one address in San Francisco. And the back and forth, it just seems to be a bit far removed from a potential unlawful killing of a man in southeastern Georgia, and really speak more towards progressive politics nationally.
Okay, so as you dug deeper, what kind of names were associated with these organizations, these political action committees?
Well, I looked through the financial disclosure forms, Lisa. They filed their first quarter disclosure, and the Action PAC, for instance, paid over $35,000 so far this year to Middle Seat Consulting, which is famously a sort of hotbed of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Confederates.
Was there any other names associated with that?
Well, yeah, the Real Justice PAC, which is a kind of Soros-aligned PAC devoted to the election of liberal prosecutors throughout the country, and another one called the Social Practice, which is not a PAC, but a limited liability company that is just registered by the Secretary of State as a general consultancy, and it was registered by some former Bernie for president from the last time he ran for president campaign. The curious thing is they're all registered to the same street address in a sort of nondescript building in San Francisco.
Well, that's what I was going to ask before we followed the money. You're saying that all of these PACs or several of these PACs are listed at the same address in San Francisco, and have you checked on that address?
Yeah, that and the LLC are all registered to the same address, and it's you did the Google Street address. It doesn't look, it doesn't look like that kind of an office building, but there's a sort of like a mailboxes type store there, and perhaps that is the reason for that.
Okay, let's spend just one quick minute. What have you found so far on following the money trail?
Well, The Action PAC spent over $60,000 to the Real Justice PAC. They called most of those funds payroll, and they paid about $35,000 to the social practice for campaign consulting. So it just seemed quite curious to me, Lisa, why, if you wanted justice for Mr. Arbery, it would be important to, basically support AOC type candidates, and perhaps AOC herself. I mean, literally, these are in fact SuperPACs, which means that the way they can spend their money is much more sort of flexible than other traditionally organized political action committees.
Thanks very much, Scott. There appears to be a lot to unpack in what you've discovered, and a lot more coming. Thanks for joining us today, Scott.
Thank you.
And thank you. Please read Scott's fine investigative report on LibertyNation.com. I'm Lisa K. Donner, Editor-in-Chief. Have a nice day. Go deeper on the topic discussed in this video. Head on over to one of these links here, or go to our Liberty Nation Roku channel. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for Liberty.